All right, guys, welcome. My name is Julius Gilger with FFL Republic, and I'm excited to share with you the 5 different things that have helped me become successful here at FFL. And when I say things, I'm really talking about lessons learned. I'm talking about the things that I've picked up along my journey to really help me be a top producer and help me influence others so they can be top producers, so they can earn a living here at Family First Life, so they can impact families and change the trajectory of the families that they're meeting with. So the first thing I want to talk about is when you're starting at Family First Life, everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different past. Everyone has a different history, right? So everyone comes to Family First Life with a different background. And the great thing about Family First Life and joining here is that it doesn't matter what your background has been. Everyone has the same opportunity and ability to find success here. And so for me and for many people here at Family First Life, the first thing you want to be focused on is production, is selling insurance, helping clients with insurance, right? Now, when I started, I did have some industry experience. I was in the industry for about 1.5 years, working at another agency where we didn't have leads, we had low comp. And I was starving, you guys. I had almost no money in my bank account. I was a single dad. I'm still, in that position, but meaning like financially, I just wasn't doing well, right? And I was so hungry for success. I was willing to do just about anything to a certain degree, right? As long as it was legal and ethical. But my point was, I needed to figure this thing out. And many of you that you're watching today or watching a replay, you're trying to figure this out. You're trying to, how do I get ahead? How do I make this work for me? Okay. The first thing that you should be doing, whether, if you have an agency, you're joining us already and you have a team, your goal should be to figure out how to actually sell to customers from that inquire through a lead, right? Because if you can't do it, it's going to be hard for you to train to do it. And I realized that because I was attempting to grow an agency at another company and I had to humble myself, right? I had to take a step back and realize that I have to figure this out so I can teach others. And so that was my first goal. And that's what 99% of the folks when they join Family First Life need to figure out. Now, the great thing about this is, and I've heard so many different lessons, so many different, people say this, but your biggest override, right? Everyone talks about having an override. Your biggest override is on your own personal production, meaning your own personal production will allow you to make the most money here at Family First Life very rapidly. That's now money, right? I help a client yesterday, I'm getting paid within 48 to 72 hours. So that's now money, right? But in the beginning, most people aren't good. In fact, most people suck in the beginning. And I was one of those people. I was really bad on the phones. I couldn't book an appointment. I thought, my experience in my career, I was working in the call centers. Like, this is going to be a no-brainer. I can just dominate the phones as soon as I start. I don't need any help. I don't need any practice. Give me the scripts. I'm ready to rock. That wasn't the case, you guys. Even with, I had over 15 years of experience working in a call center. It still took me some time to learn. But the great thing that I found about Family First Life that really pushed me, it really motivated me, it really inspired me to do better was here, the business is very black and white. You're able to pinpoint what you're doing well or not so well very simply. And what I mean by that is the first skill that most people learn or need to get good at, or not most people, everyone needs to get good at, is booking appointments, because booking appointments is 80% of this business. If you don't know that, write that down. 80% of this business is booking appointments. If you cannot get in a home, if you cannot book enough appointments, if you don't have enough at-bats, which is people you're seeing every given week, it will be very difficult for you to win here. Okay, my last company, I would speak with clients and do a client presentation, if I was lucky, 10 times in a week, okay? And that was a longer sales cycle. Here it's, you sit with them and you're closing right there and then typically. But there I was sitting with 10 clients a week, right? And I was hopeful to close 1 or 2, right? And here I had to build the muscle to meet with 20 to 30 clients a week, right? That was a different muscle that I just wasn't used to flexing because, let's face it, I wasn't working out like that. I wasn't working like that. That just wasn't what I was used to. So I had to stretch myself. I had to stretch my comfort zone. But the first thing is I realized that activity here at Family First Life is different than what everyone for the most part is used to. Okay. You have to get good at your activity. And that starts with number one, protecting your dial time. Guys, the number one thing that will help you increase your business right away is literally protecting your dial time. Do not schedule anything on Mondays and Thursdays outside of booking appointments. Okay. If your business and changing your financial situation is your priority right now, you need to make money. You need to change where you're at. You want to progress over the next year. You want to look back and say, man, I made 200 grand or 300 grand or $500,000, whatever the number is. If you don't start by making Mondays and Thursdays, if you're full-time, your number one priority in protecting your dial time, meaning do not schedule anything on Mondays and Thursdays, so it allows you to maximize your dial time. I'm telling you, that's one of the biggest things that's impacted my ability to sell at a high level here, without a doubt. And anyone that you talk to, they will say the same thing: protect your dial time, protect your dial time. So don't schedule hair appointments. Don't schedule to go do stuff with your kids. Or, dude, guys, we can do this. We have 5 other days in the week we can do this. Okay. Find another day to do it, because if you aren't booking your appointments, even if it takes you 2-3 hours to do this task or this thing that you wanted to do, that's 2-3 hours of booking appointments. That literally could mean, if you're booking 3 appointments an hour, that's 6 to 9 appointments. And if you only close 1 or 2 of those, that's $1,000 or $2,000 extra in a week. How much will $1,000 or $2,000 extra in a week impact your business? Significantly, because if you do that every single week, that's $4,000 to $8,000 extra a month. You guys have to remember, it's not just a weekly thing. It's what you do every week, what you do over the course of a month, what you do over the course of 3 months, and all of that compounds, you guys. So it makes a difference. So number one is activity. Pinpoint your opportunities, right? So is activity an opportunity for you? Are you making 300 plus dials on a Monday or Thursday? If the answer is yes, are you booking 12 to 15 appointments on a Monday or Thursday? If the answer is no, now you got to figure out a different opportunity, a different challenge you're having. Maybe your challenge is your script, the way you sound on the phone, maybe the words you're using. Maybe it's overcoming objections when someone says, hey, I already got that taken care of, or, hey, I don't have time, right? Like, these are things that you have to work on. They're not just going to come to you. You have to practice, right? I sucked at overcoming objections literally for like 2 months. Why? Because honestly, I just didn't do the work, right? I thought I can figure it out, get through it. And then one day I had this epiphany. I don't know why it took me 2 months to do it. I'm a slow processor. I just don't get things as fast as maybe some other people. I'm not perfect, you guys, right? But this was my process. And so for me, I literally took a step back and like, oh my God, if I don't get over these objections, if I don't get good at this, I'm literally going to drive myself crazy and my head's going to go through a wall, and like, I can't continue to do this. So I literally took a step back, sat down and said, all right, what are the 3 or 4 objections? And we have tons of training on this now, but 3 years ago, it wasn't as simplistic as I needed it at the time. And I looked in and I said, all right, my 3 or 4 objections are this. What are the simple statements and lines I can say to overcome these objections? And I had to simplify what was already out there, because some of the rebuttals and objections were just a little lengthy. And I'm not a lengthy type speaker. I'm like, I'm going to hit you. I'm going to say exactly what I need to say. I'm short, sweet, direct to the point. Let's move. We're either doing it or we're not. That's just how I operate in life. And as soon as I did that and I simplified things for myself, you guys might have a different process, but when I did that for myself, everything changed. So there's only a few things that you need to really work on if your opportunity is not booking enough appointments. It's one, are you taking the activity, right? And when we talk about activity, are you making the dials, right? Are you booking enough appointments? And that it stems from lead flow. Obviously, lead flow is important. If you don't have enough leads, you're not going to have enough people to call. If you don't have enough people to call, you're not going to have enough appointments to book, right? It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word, but there's a process, right? It's leads plus calls equals appointments, right? So there's a formula, right? You got to follow the formula. Okay. If systematic, thank you for whoever wrote that. It's very systematic. Exactly. Right. If you're missing a piece of the system falls apart. So it's activity, then it's your script. How do you sound? And then are you able to overcome objections, right? So your number one goal here today, guys, if you're not writing 5K a week, this is what you need to focus on. This is all I focused on. I didn't focus on how do I build an agency now. I didn't focus on anything other than like one or two things at a time. And I got really locked in on those things. And so for weeks, I would focus on booking appointments. And then when I got to the point where I'm like, okay, now I'm booking 12 to 15 appointments every Monday and Thursday. Okay, cool. Now I'm seeing people on a regular basis. And what I found was when you're actually meeting with people, that part is a lot easier, right? Now, was I closing at the level I wanted to close at? No, I definitely wasn't. But I was able to make more money because I was at least seeing more folks. And a lot of people, you hear Sean Mike say this, 25% of the people that you see will have a check stapled to their forehead. They're ready to buy. It doesn't matter what you tell them. Yep, I'll take it, right? Like they're looking for it, right? I love those clients. They're like, oh, look at that check, right? Let me just grab that. You know what I mean? Like, but then it's also, then you got to figure out how do you get better in the home. And I'll talk about that in a second. So the first thing is focus on production, but really focus on booking appointments and pinpointing your opportunity. And if you need help, reach out to me, reach out to one of the other leaders. We'll help you figure that out. The second thing was, guys, I was not focused on the result. Now you might say, what? I was not focused on the result. I was focused on activity because I knew that if I do the activity, the results will come, right? And so I think a lot of people, when they're starting here at Family First Life, they're so focused and wrapped up in the result. I didn't sell anything this week, Julius. I only sold one policy. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know. I booked 10 appointments, but only 4 of them showed, right? I'm not, and I didn't sell anything and I didn't make any money. Like, guys, I get it. We all want to make money. But if you're always focused on the result, you're missing the problem. You're missing where the growth is. You're missing the progress. Okay. This is not just about the result. This is about the journey of who you become and how you improve your skill sets and how you get through what you have to go through. Everyone has a slightly different price to pay, okay? So you guys have to focus on your activity and then your results will come, right? So the story I just told you about booking appointments, it started with activity. It started with, am I making enough dials? Am I protecting my dial time? Am I doing what I need to be doing to actually get the result, right? Because if I'm not making the calls, how am I going to expect the result? And so what I challenge each and every one of you guys to do is stop focusing on what you're selling. Now, is it important? It is important. But if you're not taking a moment and looking at your activity every single week, your results will never come. You're going to be pissed at results forever if your activity isn't there, right? And so what do I mean by that? So I was watching a podcast this morning. If you guys know, there's a guy named Jordan Peterson. He's a behavioral psychologist. Okay. He talks a lot about how people move and what they do and how they do it. And I watched this video about, how do you inspire other people, right? What are things you can do to inspire others, right? Because I realize I'm going to be in front of some folks. I want to make sure that my message is loud and clear. The first thing he said was, you got to lead by example, right? If you can't lead by example, no one's going to follow you. So if your goal is to build an agency here and you're not selling at a high level, the chances of someone having belief in you and actually following your footsteps will not happen, right? We recently brought over a team with an agency that I worked with in the past, like I talked about. And if my results were not there, I guarantee you none of them would be here today, without a doubt. I can sit there and talk to them and preach about FFL and how great we are and all these great benefits, etc. But if I didn't prove it, they would not be here, because now I can actually speak from my perspective. I can speak from my experience and actually help them and guide them from my learnings. And many of you guys are on this call today. But it starts there, right? But he then transitioned into talking about how do you have measurable improvement, right? So when we talk about focusing on the activity, are you actually measuring your improvement? Are you actually tracking it? Are you treating this like a business, you guys? Once I started doing that, now I started to see a difference in my activity. So when I started, I wasn't tracking how many calls I was doing, or if I was tracking it, I was just tracking that day, but I wasn't looking at it at a week over week, month over month time period to start to see, am I making a difference? Right? So week 1, I made 200 dials. Week 2, I made 200 dials. Week 3, I made 200 dials. But if I didn't look at it and actually track it on a spreadsheet and say, okay, let's just look at the numbers objectively, I would have never known, right? And then as soon as I started to see it, like, okay, I'm only making 200 dials a week or on a dial day, that's not getting me where I need to go. I need to make 300 dials to get to where I need to go. Now, all of a sudden, I have measurable improvement that I can see. Am I making progress, right? So I created a simple spreadsheet and I started to track my KPIs. What are those? Calls, appointments, people I've sat with, applications that I've closed, premium, all this stuff. And now I was able to actually look at my numbers week over week, month over month, and realize, okay, I'm making more dials. As a result, I'm booking more appointments. As a result, I'm speaking with more customers and I'm selling more business. Now I'm actually able to measure my performance. Now I can pat myself on the back. Now I have a boost of confidence. That's where my character was starting to build, because now I'm like, okay, I'm actually seeing a difference, not only in what I feel, but what the numbers actually show. And so this guy, Jordan Peterson, the one I was mentioning, he talks about you have to build character, and your confidence are going to be built through progress, right? Like a lot of us just want to be perfect and be a 10K producer our first week. Shit, I wasn't a 10K producer in a week for like almost a year. It took me so long to hit 10K. I don't know if it was a year or not, but it took me multiple months, guys. But along the way, I learned these things, and I'm sharing that with you. And I hope you guys are taking note and you actually own this and do it, because if you're not doing it and just you're listening and you don't execute on it, it's going to go in one ear, going to go out the other. You're going to forget it. So I hope this helps, guys. If this helps, drop a 100 in the chat. Let me know that this is helpful for you. The one thing I also wanted to remind you of is that today is the worst you'll ever be in this business. You can only get better. Okay. You can only get better. Why can you only get better? Because it's compound interest, right? The more you put in, the more you keep doing this, the better you're going to get, right? Jordan Lowry says that all the time. Today is going to be the worst you're going to be at this, right? So we just got to keep piling on. All right. The next thing that's helped me is staying unemotional in this business. This business is all about what happens here within our mind, right? And early on, I was so emotional about this business, guys. I'd have 3 no-shows in a row and I would lose my mind. I called Grady Polson and I was like, Grady, like these people aren't showing, like this business doesn't work. I don't understand. What are you talking about? How, right? Like just all these things. And all this negativity would come out of my mouth. And number one, I realized that I was focused more on what I couldn't control versus what I could control. Okay. So in that process of remaining unemotional, you have to remind yourself that you can only control your controllables, right? And what can you control? You can control your activity. You can control what comes out of your mouth, the word tracks you're using. You can't control if someone's going to be there. You also can't control if someone's going to buy. You can influence a lot of those things, but you can't control them, right? And there was even a video that I recorded early on in my career at FFL where I literally went, I think it was like 0 for 17 or something, like just something nutty where I just literally sat with 17 people and didn't sell a thing. And I was so bummed out. I was so discouraged. I was so just not happy and really thinking that this is not it. This is, what I wanted this to be was not going to be it for me. And I just didn't think I was going to make it. And you could probably go back on YouTube and find it. It's up there somewhere. But what's crazy was I felt that in my core so much that it impacted every customer I sat with, because guys, when you're sitting with a client, they're going to pick up on your energy, positive or negative. They're picking up on something, right? So what are you putting off, right? And what I learned from that, guys, is when I stopped becoming emotional about the result, the client didn't buy, the client didn't show, the client didn't do, like, it didn't matter, because in the grand scheme of things, as long as I kept moving forward and kept my activity high, I was going to win. I was going to be profitable. I was going to find a way to work with my next client that wanted to work with me, right? And as long as I focused on income producing activities, right? What's an income producing activity? Dialing the phone, door knocking, getting in front of clients. That's all I was focused on in the beginning. Everything was going to work itself out. So, and then I realized that in the beginning, my skill level was very low. Even though I had experience in the industry, it was different than what Family First Life required, right? And so what I realized real quick is what I lack in skill, I can make up in activity, right? So my skill set wasn't very good, but I can outwork most of these people. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to work every single week. While most people, they'll write a $5,000 week and then the next week they're on vacation. That was not me. I was in here every single day grinding because I knew I can do more. I knew I can do better. And so can you guys, right? So can you. I'm not that special, but these are things and lessons that I've learned and disciplines that I've ingrained and just, put into my business that's really made a difference in everything that I do now. So staying unemotional, guys, it's a skill. You don't want to get too high. You don't want to get too low. And we talk about this often, but when you're in business for yourself and you become emotional, it's hard to stay focused on what you need to do. So stay unemotional. I promise you, it'll help you. It'll help you stay more aligned. It'll help you help more clients. And it'll progress you further. I mean, if you think about it, if you're working in corporate America and you're working with an emotional person, that person is going to be dealt with differently in corporate America, right? Good, good, bad, or ugly, whatever it is. But how many emotional people do you see as leaders? How many emotional people do you see as high-level achievers? Very limited. Very, very limited. Most of the people that are high achievers in society are very unemotional when it comes to business, right? So when we're talking about business, it's being unemotional, but it's continuing to move forward. So, all right, the next thing I want to talk about, you guys, is creating structure in everything you do and doing the same thing every single time, right? If you're changing how your script sounds, if you're changing, that sounded weird. If you're changing how your in-home delivery is, how you're setting up the appointment, like any of those things that you change and you don't do the same, you're going to have inconsistent results. So I found that if you just do the same thing every single time, you're going to get consistent results. Now, along the way, are you going to tweak things? Absolutely. You're going to find things that aren't working, but you're not going to do radical changes, right? You're going to stick to the flow of what you do and you're going to tweak things along the way. So when I'm booking an appointment, regardless of what lead I'm dialing, I'm saying the same stuff. I'm going through the same process. I'm asking the same questions. It's like a Broadway show, same performance, different audience. Yeah, whoever wrote that, that's spot on, right? You're putting on a show almost, right? You are acting as if that's who you are, right? I hear you, Stan. So that's exactly it, right? So you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, right? And so, when I'm dialing the phone, whether it's a final expense lead, mortgage lead, internet lead, it doesn't matter. Hey, this is Julius. I'm getting back to you about the state regulated final expense request you sent into our office. Hey, this is Julius. I'm getting back to you about the mortgage protection request you sent to our office. Hey, this is Julius. I'm getting back to you about the life insurance request you submitted online, right? So it doesn't matter. It's just the first sentence, but the rest of the phone call is all the same. The same thing with an appointment. It doesn't matter what lead you're sitting with, right? I'm doing the same thing. I'm asking the client why they submitted their request for coverage or their request for information, whether it's mortgage protection, final expense. I'm drawing the why out in the beginning. You always also, the other thing that I learned that was huge is setting the table. If you set the table right in the beginning every single time, your chances for success increase, right? Your chances for success increase if you do that right. Your probability increases the more that your probability for success increases, the more you take the steps towards winning, towards doing the things that are required, right? So if you're moving towards success, your probability for success increases. So, there are certain things that I've implemented that have really helped me in my in-home, saying things like, look, I'm not a salesperson. I'm just a local field underwriter. My job today is just to ask you some simple questions to figure out what you're eligible for. These are not programs you can buy. These are programs you have to qualify for. And then making sure that after you walk them through who we are, right, the companies we work with, the services we offer, you have to make sure you say, hey, at the end of this, Bob and Mary, once we figure out the best option for you, I'm going to help you fill out an application to submit an application or a request for coverage. The companies are the ones that make the decisions, not me. Because what you're trying to do when you're in the in-home is take it off of you. It's not Julius. It's not Stan. It's not Matt. It's not, any one of us. It's the companies. My job is to help you find what you're eligible for and the best option at the best price for you. Okay. So do the same thing. Get your flow down. Make tweaks along the way to help you improve. And guys, if you're not getting the results you need, now you got to ask yourself, what did I do wrong? What can I do differently? And maybe you didn't do anything wrong. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to get better. Okay. But your goal is to do the same thing every single time, create that habit, create that flow. It's like professional athletes. I like to use athletes as an example because this is our sport, right? And, I'm a fan of basketball and if you look at Steph Curry, one of the greatest shooters, if not the greatest shooter ever, he takes a lot of practice shots. He's done more shots than probably anyone who's ever, played the sport because his shot is so good, right? But he's practiced so much to get that flow and that rhythm and that, that form. So that way, every time he takes a shot, it's the exact same way. And if it's off, he can tweak it just enough to get the right angle, the right trajectory, to get the ball in the hoop. Same thing with us, guys. You can make tweaks along the way, but your goal is to do the same thing every single time. Excuse me. All right, last but not least, and we'll let you guys get back to your day, is stay in a process of consistent and constant learning. So even now, okay, it doesn't change. But what do I mean by that? You have to consistently listen to information to help you in this business. You should be listening to podcasts. If you're out in the field on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Friday or Saturday, or whatever day you're in the field, and you're not listening to podcasts in between your appointments, you're literally wasting time. If you're doing anything other than being productive, of feeding your brain or doing something to move your business forward, you're wasting time. I used to listen to music in between appointments because I was that good. And I'm being sarcastic. I was not that good. I was selling 12 grand a month, which was really not enough money for me and not enough money for most adults, to be honest with you. And so what did I start doing is I started listening to podcasts. You can go on YouTube. You can go on Apple, the podcast app through Apple. You can, whatever your device is, you can find Family First Life podcasts everywhere. But feed your brain. When you don't sell something and you finish with a client appointment, are you calling your manager? Are you calling me? Are you calling Clay? Are you calling whoever you're working with to get feedback? Hey, I did this. Here's what happened. What can I do better? Right. And doing that regularly. When I started and I didn't know what the hell I was doing and how I was doing it, I was calling Grady every single day. I was blowing up his phone. Why? Because I knew he's not going to call me to say, all right, what can I help you with today, Julius? No one's going to do that, right? If newsflash, guys, no one's going to do that. We're not going to call you like, okay, what can I help you with today? How about today? How about today? You own your business. And if you own your business, you own your activity, you own your result, then it's up to you to get the information you need. So if you need help, it's up to you to call and ask for help and be very specific in what you're asking for help with, and know that there's a game plan. Hey, I just had this. What would you do different, right? So reach out to your uplines. The next thing is I would not miss any event. We have Stan, who just commented on here, who's flying from Florida to be at the event. Why? Because he knows the value of events. He knows the value of networking with other top people. He knows the value of training. And so for you guys, if you're not flying to the event, you're literally leaving thousands of dollars on the table. If you say to yourself, well, I'm going to be running appointments on that day. First off, it's a Monday. You're not going to be running appointments. Second off, you have a month to prepare and literally schedule around this training. So if you're choosing to not be at the event, you're choosing to not put yourself in a position of success, and you're choosing to lean more towards failure. You got to ask yourself why. I didn't do that. I wouldn't recommend that for you guys. So make sure you're at events. Make sure you're calling other top producers. Make sure you're calling, agency leaders, right? Connecting with other people. They can be outside our agency. They don't have to be just within our team. But if you're talking to someone, make sure they have what you want. Make sure they have this level of success you're looking to achieve. If they're a producer, talk to someone that produces at a high level. They got to be at least 20K or above. If you're looking to build an agency, talk to someone that's got an agency of at least 500K a month or above. Like, these are the people that you want to learn from. At the end of the day, guys, all of what we're talking about is creating your own flow within the business, right? I'm not the same as Grady. I'm not the same as, any of these other people at the company. But what I've done throughout my career here is find what works for me. And that's what you guys should be doing, is find what works for you, tweak things along the way, make improvements, find ways to get better, find ways to increase your activity, and find ways to become more profitable. You are a business owner. You're in business for yourself. You're not by yourself. We're here to help you. So guys, I hope that helped. Those are some of the things that have helped me become successful here. Stay disciplined, stay consistent. Make sure that you take what I'm sharing with you and you understand it, you own it, and you incorporate that into your business. And if there's anything we can do, we're here to help you. With that being said, guys, today's Thursday, today's dial day. Go out there, book 12 to 15 appointments at minimum. Go serve your families over the next few days. Let's make some money. Let's take this. We're going to $1 million a month. This agency will be doing $1 million a month in just a matter of a few months, 2-3 months tops. And the question you got to ask yourself is, what piece of that pie do you want? Do you want 200,000 a month? Do you want $500,000 a month? You guys have the ability to set your own goals. You have the ability to reach your own goals. You have the ability to do anything you want here. Each of you on here could be making 30, 40, 50,000 a month this next month. The question is, are you going to do it? Okay. Guys, I hope this helped. God bless. We'll see you guys on the leaderboard. Let's take this bad boy to $1 million. Talk to you soon.